again, the Grunge Bible Podcast, as we are back for our 129th episode. My name is Chris Salona. I'm joined by Ethan Shalloway as per usual on this lovely Monday, September 11th, or in the future after September 11th. So here we are, Ethan, for the 129th time. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well, Chris. It is, we're recording this right before the weekend, which we are actually seeing each other this weekend. We got a loaded weekend ahead of us, so we are, we have a lot to look forward to. I mean, there's a whole lot going on during the month of September. Like I said, today is Thursday, so NFL football starts tonight. I'm
Thursday,
a huge Chiefs
September
fan.
7th, yep.
I'm a huge Chiefs fan. So I'm really excited. Like I said, you're driving into Philly tomorrow. I'm going to hang out with you. We're going to go to a concert on Saturday.
Yeah, man.
And then full slate of NFL football on Sunday. So, yeah, I'm really pumped up. It's a good time of year.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that you're doing well and you're in a good mood.
How about you?
I'm good. I'm just I've severely overloaded my September calendar. And now that it's time for me to complete that which I have overloaded myself with, it's going to be really difficult. But that's why we do things around here. We do things for the difficult. That's what we have to do. Full paranoia, exactly. So we've reached that point in the year. Like we said last week, this is the birthday month, and I'm really looking forward. One thing I've noticed the last couple of years, Ethan, we've done a good job about seeing one another more frequently than we did when we were in college, and spending time together, going to shows, and just doing what we got to do. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very happy about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think it's easier when at least you live close to home, because you're not in college anymore, and I'm not in college anymore. So I come back to home, and we just a little bit easier schedules, schedules.
It's been over 5 years, man, since we've been out of college.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. It's funny. Just this week, my college's athletic department, they emailed me. They're doing like a Where Are They Now series, and for some ungodly reason, they want to know where I am now. They want to know my occupation, what I do, lessons that I learned from my Iowa State student athlete experience. I should just say, sometimes, I bought a microphone, and now I'm a cisgender white guy with a podcast.
With 500,000 followers,
with half a mil, yeah.
That's right. We didn't talk about that, Chris.
We haven't talked about it. 500,000 followers on Instagram. That's a lot of people.
That almost went under the radar. We should just do an episode about big things coming in the future, Chris.
Yeah,
and how we're gonna hit 1 million.
Big things happening behind the scenes. Ethan, I don't have it in me to reach 1 million, man.
I mean, did you think you had 500,000 in you?
No, I didn't. But I mean, we've spent like 7 years.
Oh my gosh, dude! Numbers and years, man, they just keep rolling and keep going up. I mean, 500 is. I mean, we talk about it a lot too. The numbers just are, I'm comfortably numb over here.
Yeah, the numbers are what they are.
The numbers. Who knows if they're real, fake, whatever.
Exactly.
You know what? Actually, I do want to say this, Chris. For the amount of bots that are out there in the world of internet, we do not have the problem that people do.
No, we don't.
We really don't have.
Sometimes when the bots come commenting, I throw them out of the club. I
delete. Yeah, I usually
delete the comments and block them.
A few deletes and stuff. Yeah, but there's a lot of problems out there with bots. So whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is.
We're streamlined,
Yeah, we are streamlined. We run a tight ship around at Grunge Bible, especially on the Grunge Bible podcast. Ethan, I think, as things go, we have streaks with this podcast where we're really hammering some in-depth grunge content, which I think gets a lot of new people to the podcast. For example, they see we share something like, hey, we did an hour and a half on Temple of the Dogs album. And they're like, oh, cool, I want to listen to that. And then when we post like, hey, we did an hour on softball and going back to school, people don't really click on that. But that's what we do sometimes. Sometimes we have to make episodes primarily for us because we can be selfish a little bit, but also for the people that listen each week, that know us and that might have a marginal rooting interest in the ebbs and flows of our lives and the various stories of lore that we want to share. And This is gonna this is one of those episodes that's coming up, but we have some good grunge stuff to discuss today. But we're gonna kind of rapid fire, like PTI style, a bunch of different things today that we need to talk about. There's certain things, this is our space to talk. You have your spaces, and this is ours. So this is what we're gonna do today.
Yeah, I like the idea, or I like to believe that people are interested in the banter that we provide. So sometimes it's good to talk. I mean, I don't know. Do people want to hear about grunge every single week? I mean, it's a good outlet and stuff.
You'd be
I think
surprised.
people they just want to be entertained, right?
Exactly. So hopefully we're entertaining. That's not up to me to decide, but we're able to attempt to be entertaining because of the large volume of support that we have rolling into our 129th episode. So as you are most likely familiar by now, there's a couple of really good ways that you can support us. In addition to watching the show, reviewing it, maybe sharing it with some of your friends, you can purchase some merchandise. The link to our merch store is in the show notes. And also you can support us on Patreon, which is a lovely website which allows creators such as ourselves to solicit monthly contributions from people that value whatever it is that those creators create. And we have 3 tiers over on Patreon. We have a $2, a $5, and a $10 a month level. And Ethan, we have a new $2 a month Patreon supporter. We've got some new skin in the game. We can ring the bell a little bit today. I would like to welcome Russell Emery to the Patreon ranks. So Russell's here. We did it.
Russell is here. Love it. Thank you for taking the time to support us.
Yeah,
like I said, $2 for $2 a month. That's 4 episodes. I think it's worth it.
I think it's a good deal. It's very fiscally responsible. So Russell joins a large quantity of Patreon supporters, and leading the way are the top level supporters. And once again, we have a very strong list. It's been a very consistent list. And that list, as it stands currently, is Pile of Punk, D-Boat, Eric R. Berry, Sherry Matthews, Gochujang, Keith White, Corden Stewart, Epona, Julie Van Siever, Brother Nature, Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce, Faith Bittner, Granny Grunge, Fresh Tendonitis, Alex Long, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Captain Hightop, Chris LSMS, Nikki Six, Kara K, Black Hole Sean, What the Fuck's Up Denny's, Millie, Rachel Corning, Doug Endy, Laura Nyreen, Jamie Lynn, The Blue Owl, Fuck Soup, Carlene Salona, Jade Mercado, Alexa Shannon, and Marianne. And a notable piece of information, there's a lot of different ways to support us. You can pick one or you can pick multiple. And Keith White just recently made some merchandise purchases. I think he picked up some Grunge Bible beanies, black one and a white one. So he's going to be all ready for when those colder weathers, those colder temperatures come rolling in. So we're really excited about that and very grateful for Keith's support and all of the conversation that we've had with him.
Big Keith, he's awesome.
Yeah, Keith White's the man.
He's really solid dude. Always gives us his lists. If we make a list of our top 10, whatever, he usually comes back and gives us some feedback. So,
which I love. I think that's super fucking cool. It's fun to hear other people's perspectives on this because as much as I like talking about this stuff, it's fun to listen to.
Yeah.
Because then when you're
100%.
listening, you don't have to talk.
Oh yeah. So where do you want to start, Chris? We have a hodgepodge episode of some stuff.
As I think I say this every single time there's like a piece of grunge news. I always give a preamble of like, with this genre, it's not very often that there's new stuff to report on and discuss. So I'm not going to give that preamble today. I just summarize the fact that I always do it. But we do have some cool, interesting news. I think is a really cool thing that's been starting to happen over the last few years. So Guild Guitars just partnered with Kim Thayil to release a Kim Thayil signature guitar, and it's really, really cool. They collaborated with Kim to put this thing together, and it's the Polera model, and it's really fucking awesome. It's the guitars, exactly as he used to play it. So they released a kind of Gen Pop one in black, and there's a very special edition one in white. He used to use the white one a lot in like 1990, 1991 or so. And the white one is limited to 30 pieces worldwide. And I don't know what the price tag is on either of these. I imagine the 31 is going to be very expensive. But
the black one runs at $8.99. It looks like
$8.99. Okay, but yeah. I mean, to channel your inner Thayil. I mean, if you're socioeconomically advantaged, that you can do that. I mean, that sounds pretty good. That's not bad. But I just think it's really cool. here we are over 30 years after Bad Motor Finger, and we're coming up on 30 years since Super Unknown, which I think, most people would consider to be the peak of Soundgarden. And it's so cool that there's still the interest level, both by these companies and by the fans and these musicians, musicians around the world. There's an interest level in these artists still, to the point that, Guild Guitars could collaborate with Kim and put something together like this. And, it's just further confirmation that this genre and the people who comprise the genre, we're doing some really special things and are some really special people. This one was super cool. Our friend Matt at Let's Play All Guitar actually got his hands on the black one, and he released a demo on the day that the guitar was released. So that's nice. Really, really cool. So it's cool. We were able to cross post that a little bit too, and Guild was they followed us, and they shared some of the Soundgarden Louder Than Love stuff that we were posting, because it was prominently featuring the mighty Kim Thayil and his Polara guitar. So really, really awesome stuff. And, as I said, Kim's not alone as it relates to the grunge rock guitarists. There's two others notably that have partnered with different companies to create their signature model. So Jerry Cantrell has one with G&L, and then Mike McCready partnered with Fender to recreate his famous 1960 Fender Stratocaster. The coolest thing about McCready's 60 Strat is that until he began talking with Fender to create this reissue, obviously they were looking at the guitar and everything, Mike was under the impression that his 60 Strat was a 59 Strat, and it's pretty well publicized. He's obsessed with the number 59. He's got a tattoo of it. I think he owns a 59 Les Paul, and for a long time, until very recently, he thought he owned a 59 Strat, but it turns out it's a 60 Strat. But it's super, super awesome. I mean, how many amazing performances he's done with this one. I always think of his Yellow Ledbetter performances, with that really, really weathered 60s Strat with the sunburst pattern, all the wood chipping off. Really, really, really awesome. I'm such a fan of weathered Strats. There's a couple
Stratocasters are awesome, man.
Oh yeah,
they're such a beautiful looking guitar. I love the sunburst, and it is a really, really cool guitar to be holding on stage. Yeah. I mean,
it's one of the most iconic ones.
Yeah, yellow.
I mean, that one and like Les Paul Gold Top, I think, or like the red Les Pauls, or like the maroon Gibson SG with the black pick guard. I mean, these are some iconic guitars. So this reissue of the 1960 Strat that Fender and McCready partnered on, it's like factory aged, and that's become fairly popular. You buy a new a reissue from like the 50s or the 60s, and they reissue and they kind of weather it so it looks like it's been around and it's been played. What are your opinions on that, Ethan? Do you have an opinion on guitar companies artificially aging their guitars?
I was literally looking at some stuff, and I guess the aging, like an aged guitar where it's all like, kind of beat up and just lighter is such a good look. It's so cool when it's authentic. So when you say that it's fake and it's like, made like that, I don't really like it. I think I'm against it. Like, I like the idea that it has a lot of hours played and all this stuff, and I feel like that's the easy answer to be like, I wanted to be original, but those things are, they're all relics. So that, and especially if it didn't play that long, I was just thinking like if something breaks or, I mean, it's really hard. I mean, you got to put it back together all the time. So it's hard to keep things so weathered in good conditions. I don't know. I think I'd buy a normal one and then just try to play it as much as I can so I can weather it myself, but that's not possible. So
yeah. Well, for me, I think like the weathered look is such a testament to where that instrument has been and the hours and the people have put in on it. So personally, I don't really love like the factory aging process either. I think it's kind of a cheap way to get what you want. You got to earn it. It's the same. You don't artificially get calluses on your hands.
Yeah.
You get it by working hard. Doing different stuff.
You can't just have long hair. You have to put in the time.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't do it. I mean, there are ways, but I mean whether they're ethical or not, who's to say? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool. I think as a tribute to Mike and everything like that, but and a lot of these guitars, there've been a lot of reissues as well, but I love the fact though, I mean, you can't get better than the real thing, and a lot of these musicians, I mean, absolutely iconic guitars. I mean, I think I just saw him twice. Bruce Springsteen has this has this Fender Telecaster that he's been playing for literally 50 years. And it's at the point that like the thing is so old, he's used it for absolutely everything. In fact, one time he was in Europe and it broke and they overnighted it back because there's this one guy in the United States who works on Bruce's guitars naturally. They overnighted it, got it fixed and got it back in time for the next show. Neil Young has this famous Les Paul called Old Black that he's used for years and years and years. I just love that fact. You know, a lot of these the stories that these guitars could tell. I mean, McCready has a Les Paul, I think, that was one, I think, owned by the guitarist in Van Morrison's band back in the 60s. And you know, he was able to purchase it, or I think it was a gift or something. And, you know, just all of these, it's kind of like the much cooler version of like you get a $20 bill in your hand and you're like, think of all the people that held this and what it was used for, you know, and you know, everything that goes with that. So, yeah. You know, I need $100 bill. All I have is a 20. She'll do.
Yep, she'll do. So would you, if you had a guitar for 50 years and it went up, you know, 5,000% in value, because they can sell these guitars for 25 grand, you know, 30 grand or more. Would you part ways with something that you put in so much time into?
Because I think it depends. If I'm still enjoying it, I'm going to hold on to it, you know, and I'll die and let whoever, you know, deal with it. Right. I'll just like pass it along the line. But I don't know, something like that is as much like, it feels more intimate than just like an item. Exactly. And like, I'm not ever really somebody to speculatively purchase things because I think they're going to go up in value and with the intent to sell them. So I think with that in mind, like, I don't think I would sell. It's funny. So I own an electric guitar, and like I bought it for like $300, and I was looking like last year or something, and like some of them, the exact model that I have go for like $1,000 now, or like $1,200, which is ridiculous, because like I don't play it that much. I'm not good at it. I'm really bad at it. Actually,
you could sell that for $1,000.
I played the stonks a little bit, yeah, but I like it, you know. So sometimes, you know, it's better for me. Like, I'm lucky enough, I'm in the position where like it's better for me to have it and like it and use it a little bit than it would be for me to, you know, have an extra bit of money in my pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it's like baseball cards and stuff. Like,
it's
not going to mean, you know, that rookie card is not going to mean as much to the person you sell it to than the person that, you know, pulled it out of the pack back 30 years ago.
Yeah, and some of these people, I mean, like, I don't know. I've never been a collector in that regard, and it's funny. So I was just at the Red Sox game last week, and I went to the Red Sox game with Eddie Vedder, got me through my second divorce. I was telling him this story. Once again, you know, you become a Patreon supporter, you get to go to public events with one of us.
Yep, 2 of them this weekend.
Yeah. So like when I was a kid, my dad gave my brother his baseball glove. Like when my brother was a kid, we were young. I was a lefty, so I couldn't use it obviously because my father and my brother are right-handed, and we're sitting there. We're still at the age where we'd bring our gloves to the baseball games, you know, try to catch a foul ball.
I still do.
Yeah. and the guy in front of us noticed my brother's glove. He's like, hey, can I take a look at that glove? And we were all like, sure. Like, I mean, he's not going to steal the glove. There's 35,000 people, right? So he looked at it and he's like, oh, like this is a whatever model, like whatever from like 1970 something or whatever. He's like, this glove is really valuable. And my dad and my brother were like, all right, like that's really cool. Like I didn't really know that. And he's like, I'll give you $500 for it right now.
Wow.
and my brother, I don't know, I don't remember whose decision it was. Obviously, I think it was my brother. He was like, no, like I don't want to do that. It's mine. Like you know, I'm not here to make a buck. I'm here to, you know, use the glove and enjoy it. Yeah, this man like was just walking around with.
So. Did you ever do any more research? I wonder how much the glove's actually worth.
I didn't. I don't remember what model it was, and like I don't even know what happened to it. I don't think my brother still has it anymore. I think it might have gotten lost when we moved, which sucks, you know. But you know, that's the thing. I mean, it was an item, you know. It's not. But this guy was ready, and this was back. This was back in like 2003. So like, you know, if we're accounting for inflation, 500 then was that like probably like $800 now.
Probably more. Well, he probably lowballed. He probably knew it was.
I'm sure he lowballed. Yeah, exactly. So like, I don't know.
It was worth $1,000.
Yeah, but needless to say, I agree with my brother's decision to not sell the glove. You know, some items are meant to be enjoyed. They're not meant to be, you know, stuck in a box.
I do too, and I try my best to be. I wouldn't say a minimalist, but you know, I try not to be a pack rat. Yeah. Right. Like I try not to keep on everything, but it's so hard. One time I helped move a guy, and we're going through stuff, and I was like, you're really gonna move all this stuff? I was like, you want to get rid of this? It's a box of shirts, He's like, every shirt has a story, and when you throw that shirt away, you forget the story, something like that. And he's like, everything, like, it's so hard to throw away stuff that has stories. And honestly, like, that shirt means nothing to 99.9%. Maybe there's like 10 of the people that were at that event that got that shirt or something like that, but it'll never mean so much than the person that has it. And I struggle too. And I was like, someday this could bring up some really good memories. And I don't know if I'm going to rob myself of like forgetting it, not having it and sending it away. To an
extent, right?
Of course. So it's interesting. I do think that there's a lot of value in keeping some old stuff around.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think, like, for the most part, like, I try to, like, what I have, I try to have it because I use it. Same thing with clothing. Like, every year I'm like, all right, like, if I haven't worn this in the past year, like, I don't think I need it anymore, and I'll donate it away or give it away or whatever. But back to the original conversation, man, I'll tell you, if I was a guitar guy, which I am not, if I played, if I was good, if I played frequently, and if I had the money, I would want this Kim Thayil guitar.
So out of the three of those guitars, that's the one you picked?
That
was my question.
I think I would pick the Kim, because I already have a Strat. And I'm not particularly interested in Jerry's G&L. But the Kim guitar, dude, imagine like
the Kim is sweet.
Imagine like being able to play like Searching with My Good Eye Closed on Kim's guitar model.
That would be really cool.
That would be pretty damn cool.
I don't have a Stratocaster, so like I feel like maybe I would choose. Well,
there's a reason why that was the first electric guitar that I got.
Yeah.
I bought it off of Craigslist, and the guy gave me a discount because he's like, "There's only a few of us lefties out here in the world." I was like, "You bet."
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, man. That's I bought it back when I was in college. Like, I barely used it just because I'm not good at guitar. I live in a small apartment too. It's a pain in the ass. Sometimes I plug in the app though and put the headphones in and just play into the headphones. That's the easiest way.
Yeah, it'll get its use one day.
Absolutely. When we have our
if not by you, somebody.
Exactly. No, I will. I would like to eventually.
That's another thing too. Like, what was I? I was looking at something or another where you have an opportunity to kind of let your story live on through other people, and you're like, if it's going to get used, I'd rather go to a good home, like selling your family house, right? Yeah. The one that you grew up in, and like you almost like for some for a reason you're selling it, you're giving up ownership, but you want to make sure that it goes to the right person all the time. And it's so interesting because like once it's theirs, they can do whatever they want with it, but you always have like an ownership to it, and like you like want like the house we live in, my grandfather built.
Right. My dad lived there forever.
Yeah, like if it came down to it, and my dad was moving to another place, and like none of his sons wanted to buy the house, I'm not sure what I don't think. I mean, he wouldn't move out. He's gonna live in this house until he passes away for sure.
Yeah.
But like it's so funny because you get so attached to something so simple. But it's important.
Yeah, that's the same way. Like my baseball gloves. Like if either of my children, if my children end up being left-handed and take an interest to baseball, I gotta pass that on to them. I've been getting a lot of use out of these gloves though recently with the softball, the rec league softball escapades this year, man. But
I think that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons I never really got into vinyl or records and stuff is because like when it kind of like started catching on back 15 years ago or something, everybody that was our age was like, I found all my dad's records, they found my grandfather's records, and he gave them all to me. And my dad, he didn't keep any of his records. He does have a box of records, but they're none of the classic rock stuff that he is. Like I got rid of all that. Right. So I didn't start with a collection to kind of go through and be a part of, and like try to like, put myself in the shoes of like, my dad listened to these back in the day,
Right.
Cause he got rid of them. So I feel like that, then I just didn't want to go back and start that whole process again. So, it kind of stinks. It would be really cool to see, like, if he had all this stuff. Because I know he had a bunch, but
yeah, it's just like with the passage of time. I mean, vinyl was obsolete. It had lost the market share, and now it's obviously it's steaming back. I think it's really cool, and I'm a big fan of purchasing physical copies of music from artists that I value and that I really like. And like I buy records from musicians, but like I don't really listen to them. Like I don't have a good turntable, I don't have a good setup, but for me it's just like I support them, and it's cool to own, a physical copy of something, that you care about a little bit. So I think it's important, especially with the way, the music industry is trended with streaming and everything, obviously.
I saw a really cool post
real quick. should we press our episodes onto records?
That's an interesting idea, Chris.
We'll take our best podcast episode and we'll do a limited edition pressing.
Chris, you could be onto something. I don't think anybody's ever done that.
No, I don't think so. We're trendsetters, but people will naturally probably try to copy us after we do that.
You may be. I don't know if you're serious or not, and I don't know like how.
I don't know if I'm serious or not.
I don't know how half baked that idea is, but that's kind of cool. I actually like to have like a spoken. I mean, it's literally like an audio.
It's like
book.
The record that they sent to outer space with Blind Willie Johnson on it. This will be our artifact.
That's hilarious. That's a great idea. We should do something. Maybe on our last podcast when we close it out, we'll get that one pressed.
Yeah, Drew's gonna have to work extra hard for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I saw something that it was some guy had I sold my old VHS player on eBay, and then like 2 weeks later I got this letter, and it was a letter from like an 83-year-old.
I saw this.
Man or woman, I'm not sure which it was, and it was a thank you letter. Because it was like, man, I'm getting emotional. It's like I was able to watch all the videos of my wedding, my son's birth, or like all these like home videos that they had no way to use and be able to watch them. And then this person like sold them just a usable VHS, and it was like unlocked a whole another level of nostalgia and just memories. And it was so cool. I mean, that stuff is just really, I love cool that they took the time to write something back and
that's special.
Yeah. And I man, I always think of what I'll be remembering in 15, 20 years and stuff, and what'll be important. So like I said, that summer night of softball that you just were a part of.
Yeah. My God, dude. Yeah, man. I'm exhausted today, and I don't want to do this podcast really because last night we had our rec league softball championship. We sucked last year, but we made a couple of free agent acquisitions, and this team that we're playing against has won the last like 4 or 5 years, and they're not the not the nicest people, but it was a best softball, 2 out of 3. It was a best of 3 championship series, and last night we played softball for 4 hours consecutively. We only made it through 2 games, so we have the decisive game 3 next week. We won the first game. They won the second game. It was not for the faint of heart. It was like 90 degrees out there. The fainter of heart, Eddie Fainter, with great respect to the king.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it. But
we'll get to that one. Don't worry.
It's fun. Like I'll tell you, man. Like I kept telling everybody that I played with. Like I've done like fairly high level athletics throughout my life. Different athletic pursuits that are difficult or at organized levels of importance, but I'll tell you, man, rec league softball is the most important one.
Oh yeah.
It is important. I lead off, I play first base, you got to get on base, and you got to, the fundamentals are, and that's the thing, hitting ebbs and flows, right? But the one thing that you can always do, you can always play good defense. That's always up to you. So that's what I pride myself on. But I'm hitting like 750 on the year.
Yeah. So what's your stats? You got some. I know you got.
I've got the stats. I gotta keep everything ready. It's been a really good year. So I changed my approach from last year. Last year I was trying. A lot of you want to hit the dingers, right? But I realized
line drives are king.
We already have a few people who try to hit the dingers, right? And like they'll hit like 400 on the year, which in softball, in my opinion, is not that good. so like they'll hit 400, but they'll hit the dingers. But they're batting middle of the order. I bat leadoff. Like I got to know my role. So this year I batted 756. Ethan, I was 31 for 41 at the dish. So I only made 10 outs. There were only 10 times I didn't get on base. I walked once, which is very hard to do in softball because you just want to swing the whole time. I have a little plate discipline issue. I like to swing.
Hey man, there's no other way. I remember there was a time we played some church softball,
Mm-hmm.
and I was a first pitch guy,
Yeah, it's the best. Statistically speaking, it's the best pitch you'll see.
Yeah, exactly. And I caught on to that, but I was missing, and I was like, and I was popping out and doing something. And there was a time I was like, and honestly, I was like, it's going by too fast, Ethan. Like, spend some time at the plate. I made myself I made myself watch one or two pitches sometimes. Like, I would not swing just so I could have more time at the plate. Like, I just wanted to be like, there's nothing worse when you get up there, it's 10 seconds and you're out or something.
Yeah, and it's already over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. I have the same vices, but
man, I wish I was playing in the league.
Dude, come to Providence next week, playing the championship. We need it. And I did the same thing last night. Like, I had a couple chances to get us back into the second game, and the bases were loaded the last 2 times I came up, and I first pitch swung both times, and I just got under it. I was driving the ball good in game 1, but I think fatigue got in the way a little bit, and sometimes that happens, but the future is unwritten now, and we can create legends in game 3 and win the title. So hopefully we're able to do that, and honor those that came before us in the game of softball.
Exactly. Speaking of that, yeah. So this Saturday this holiday weekend we had a golf tournament at our house. We have like a little course that we play. My dad's been playing for 30 years, but the people that come, there's like we're part of my dad. There's a big Mennonite area around here, and the Mennonites love playing softball, and among other stuff. I mean, everybody likes playing softball, but
I hope.
Yeah. So we started talking, and then one guy just played a fast pitch league in Wisconsin, and he was talking about that, and he still plays. He's like, in his 50s, but he's still playing, and one of the guys brought up the king in his court, and I had no idea what he was talking about.
Me either.
And once I learned, I had to tell Chris about this. And there he is. If you're watching Eddie Feigner could be the best athlete of all time, and I had no idea about it. He's definitely the best athlete you never heard of.
Yeah.
But this legend that we have immersed ourselves in the last 24 hours, especially with Chris being in a championship game. He was a slow pitch pitcher that, like, the lore behind his stats and his career, he was born in 1925 and he played for like 65 years.
Barnstorming across the country.
Yeah. And they claimed he traveled like 5 million miles and played all around. He played a total, he like struck out 140,000 people in like 290 perfect games. Like
10,000 games played.
10,000 games played. He averaged 1.4 games a day for like 10 years. Just like a myth, just an absolute myth of a person. And then there's some videos and like he's kind of like he's like a performer. So the king in his court he was the pitcher, and he fielded 3 people: a pitcher, catcher, first baseman, and 1 fielder. And he said that he wanted to do 2, but then he thought it would be a problem if they both got on base and they didn't have anybody to hit. So he had to field. So he had to get 2 other people. And this guy was an absolute legend. He threw behind his back. One of my favorite, you probably saw it, Chris, where he pitches like through his legs. Maybe it's a normal pitch, and then the guy throws it back to him, and they throws it behind his back and picks off the first base runner. It's absolute legend. And dude. So they would just play with 4 people, and like he struck out Roberto Clemente and
Harmon Killebrew. He struck them all out.
Yeah, like my dad was explaining, he's like, when you're 50 feet away from the mound, and this guy can throw 100, 105 miles. It says he threw
112 miles an hour.
Yeah, 112, and then you can do the same exact motion and throw 70. Like, that's 40-mile-an-hour difference from that close, dude. There's no shot. No, you can throw risers you can throw sinkers. Like, apparently it was just impossible.
I mean, he's the best athlete of all time.
As the legend goes, 1 home run was hit on him in his whole career, in all 10,000 games.
Just 1 home run. I'd love to shake that man's hand who was able to take the great Eddie Feigner deep. But additionally, Ethan, there's some lore as it relates to the Shalloway family and the king in his court.
Oh, yeah.
Allegedly, your father got a hit off of Eddie Feigner.
Yeah, so we brought it up, and there's two people, so we traveled and played everybody, and like I said, it was a hot spot here, and he came in and played my dad, and he batted against him in the 80s, and he said he got a hit. I said that, Chris, you didn't believe him, and he was like, he gave me a face, and then like 10 minutes later, he's like, can't believe Chris. Oh no. He's like, I was a good hitter. He's like, my dad was a softball legend, and he was like, he played a lot. I told him your story about how you played 2 games last night. And he's like, oh yeah, I got a lot of memories of playing one too many games, like a day, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, apparently he got a hit. I mean, he said, he was in his 50s or 60s and was not,
right.
He wasn't throwing the same thing that he was, or, just as dominant. But it does go to show that like underhand is way more natural than overhand.
Yeah, well, that's why if you can pitch for 65 years, UCL out.
Yeah, if you can pitch for that long and not be, too injured, and it's an incredible feat.
Ethan, do you know that Eddie Feigner has an autobiography that we can read? Is it time to assign reading to Grunge Bible?
I think so.
We have to read From an Orphan to a King, the Eddie Feigner story.
His life, oh man, it is an awesome story. I was listening to a little bit of that podcast he sent me too.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty awesome stuff. And like, I really do love, and this kind of goes with my sport, kind of goes with like what we're doing, the niche stuff in the world, the ones that are, like he said, he was like, he understands he was a pipsqueak in the sports world, and then he basically was a champion nose blower, which is an awesome, thing to say. And it's like, because, and it's definitely lost its interest over the years in the past 30, like fast pitch softball, because everybody's playing baseball or slow pitch or whatever.
Something else.
But it's cool that, you can be so good at something and you can make it. I mean, he made it entertainment. He made it fun. He made a living off of it, and he did so much, and like
made himself into a legend.
Just because it's not what the people per se like will pay you for or will want. I mean, there's plenty of.
Well, so you got to look inward. You got to be doing stuff for the right reasons, and you have to do it your way.
Yeah, I think it's very honorable. I love the idea to be a master of whatever craft you want to be. If you want to be the best, the best potter, then do it. And if you want to be the best slow pitch softball, fast pitch softball player, like it's awesome. Because like you said, how many people watched him and got into the game?
Over the thousands. Man, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
And hopefully we can do that for other podcasters out there.
Yeah, all I want is to be able to walk down the street and have people say, there goes one of the greatest grunge podcasters who ever lived.
Oh, wow. People might be saying that, Chris.
People might be. I mean, we've been at it the longest, I think. I don't think there's any other grunge-centric podcasts out there. There's a few grunge-centric Instagram pages that have followed in our footsteps, but so far we're the only podcast.
If only they were. I mean, they're way behind us, but they are definitely. It's like when you follow your parents' footsteps in the sand. They're stepping exactly where we stepped.
Yeah.
5 years later, there's some people out there. I think we got to talk about it, Chris.
Yeah, I think we could talk about it. It's late in the episode, so only the purists late in the episode. So
exactly, only the purists will hear, and this is good stuff. But there's another account. There's a few accounts, but there's one specifically that. I don't know, man. It's like our echo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Yes.
It's like, you post something and then they post pretty much the exact same thing. And the caption is almost exactly alike.
They structure all the captions the same exact way too.
And they asked for guidance a long time ago. They asked about not getting copyrighted or something.
Yeah.
And we gave them some advice and they really took it and ran. And I'm not saying, it's flattery, whatever. Imitation is the nice form of flattery or whatever, right. But at some point, it's just too much. It's it just gets, it's under the skin right now for sure.
Well, that's the thing. Like we haven't
fire ants.
Yeah, we haven't publicly feuded with anybody. We've talked about it for a while. We've bounced around some names internally as to who we should declare, ourselves to be in conflict with. But this one feels right.
You got stuff ready too.
Oh yeah, we've got some source material that's ready. You know, if we decide to publicly air our grievances. Well, I guess we're publicly airing them now, but it's a much more controlled environment. But yeah, man, I don't know.
This is a private conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you all this in confidence. It's just one of those things. Like I don't claim that anything that we do is original, because we're not talking about our own art. But I think what is original and it's definitely sincere, because we're the ones doing it, and I think we're sincere in our efforts, is, you know, it's about the music. It's not about growing a following. Like, I don't give a shit about that, honestly. It's just about like having fun and trying to make people laugh or smile or cry, even, whatever. You know, but there's other people out there that are doing what we do, not for the same reasons that we do what we do. They're doing it because they want to have a nice number next to their name, because apparently that gives you a lot of validation. You know, but that's why, dude, like like I said, like, I don't like it when people in my real life know that I do this.
So little know. And,
yeah. Well, it was funny. Like, I was using my phone recently with, like, next to one of my friends. And I was scrolling through my notes app because, like, I had to, like, make a note of something, and I have a folder in there it's just GB for Grunge Bible, right? And they were like, "What's GB?" I was like, "Oh, it's Great Britain. I like the country." I just kept on going. I don't want them to know.
Gravity bombs. It's all about gravity bombs.
Exactly. George Blanda, the football player. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's one of those things that, you know, I go back and forth whether we should, you know, call certain people out on, you know, the imitation game, because, you know, then we give them an audience. But
exactly.
But then again, like, you know, if they're,
we need to defend ourselves. Sometimes.
Exactly. Like, we need to defend our point of view. I think it's worth defending. So maybe we'll have to do that.
Something may pop up on the screen.
Something will pop up. So yeah, man. Well, I'm excited to see you this weekend, Ethan.
Yeah, man. I am too. It's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, we get to hang out with Eddie Vedder. Got me through my second divorce.
Absolutely.
So he gets to go to a concert with both of us.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. And the best part, Ethan, now, like, there's not really much between us and the hang this weekend, now that we've mailed in this podcast episode.
You got that right.
Yeah.
You got that right.
So what do you say we get out of here after we give some songs of the week?
Oh, yeah. I'm down. I feel like there's two people. Well, you do have a song of the week already ready?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't have one yet.
Well, there's two people that I do want to bring up that I think that maybe a spot on the songs of the week could be.
Are you asking me to adopt one of yours then? Is that where you're...
I'm adopt one of these people to pick a song from.
Okay, all right.
Because we had two people pass in the last week in the music industry.
Yeah,
the great Jimmy Buffett and Steve Harwell of Smash Mouth, and they both died around their family. You know, I think they both died peacefully. Jimmy was old. Harwell was a kidney failure, like really bad.
I believe
like
so.
Really,
some sort of affliction.
It happened fast.
Yeah.
And Smash Mouth, you know, say what you will. There's a lot of great songs from them, and some soundtracks that people love. A lot of fun summer stuff. And then you got the King. You got Jimmy Buffett. Same thing. Yeah. Cheeseburger in Paradise. You know, 5 o'clock somewhere. I mean, just
the feature on that.
You've been to a concert of Jimmy's.
I saw Jimmy Buffett.
You know the lore.
My God, dude. So it was right after I graduated college. Like, it was like the last couple of weeks where all my college friends were still around. And I went to a Jimmy Buffett concert in Des Moines, Iowa. I was amongst the Parrot Heads. We were like last row in the stadium. I was with my buddy Wyatt. And I'll tell you, it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. Like, Jimmy Buffett's not bad. I would like to pick a Jimmy Buffett song for Song of the Week if you'll take the Smash Mouth angle.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, so my Jimmy Buffett song is going to be A Pirate Looks at 40. It's just an absolute classic ballad. You know, it's just like an old sailor, you know. You've sailed the seas for a long time, and, you know, you're just looking back a little bit. So, you know, it's always good to look back. But Jimmy Buffett, man, like, I'll tell you, like, to, you know, a certain demographic of people out there, this one hurt. This one hurt a lot of people when he passed away, but
it did.
You know, he was the guy. He was the king of his court. You know, he was the king of his area.
He was,
and that's what he did. So
Margaritaville,
76 years old, exactly, man.
Invented it.
Did you see Guy Fieri? He was like, He's like, without Margaritaville, there is no Flavor Town.
He really said that?
I don't remember if he said it or if one of my friends just made the joke. But he was like, Margaritaville and Flavor Town are sister cities.
Margaritaville paved the way for Flavor Town to exist. That's just amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I love the internet.
Without Grunge Bible, there is no puddle of grunge fucking bullshit page.
Yeah. We'll probably bleep that out.
I know. It's good.
Okay. So for my Smash Mouth song, of course you got All Star and I'm a Believer, but I'm not going to put those on there because, I want to put something else. So I think Walking on the Sun is a
hell yeah
epic song. And it's, one of their top songs as well. So you probably know it out there, and it's really fun to listen to. And, it's sad. He was in his 50s. I think he was like 54 or something like that.
Yeah, I think, yep.
That is young. That is really young, especially to have such an abrupt finish to your life. So, that's just weird. So those are the songs of the week. We're hanging on to the last days of summer. I think summer ends September 22nd usually, right? Yeah, is it the same every year?
I think 21st, September 21st or something.
Is it the same every year, or does it change?
I think it's the same. Like it's because it's about like the
equinox stuff. I thought maybe I know that the years,
the solstices are the same every year. The seasons are the same every year. Well, I don't believe in Groundhog Day, like the more weeks of winter bullshit.
Well, I know that the 365 is not a perfect, it's not a perfect measurement for how long it takes. So I didn't know if it changed. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think
summer is still here.
Mostly the same.
It is. It's but that's why you have leap years and shit.
Well, that's why it's up to us. It's up to us to push the sun back up in the sky and give ourselves one more day of summer.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess I remember a teacher once told me, every 4 years a leap year, but like every 100 years you skip that leap year, but then every 1,000 years you actually have to have the leap year. Or so, you know what I mean? Like it has to make up for the few minutes.
I don't know, man. I'm glad there's people smarter than I who figure this whole thing out. I just get up in the morning, brush my teeth, and get out the door. That's all I got to do. Yeah, it's pretty simple around here.
But let's push up the sun one more night.
Let's fucking
one more summer night. All right, guys. Thank you again for listening. Please like and subscribe and leave a review. Doesn't matter, good or bad. We'll take it.
We will read
but
it.
It helps the podcast get into the ears of other people. And we think that's pretty cool. So please consider doing that, becoming a patron, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Rock and